Hey everyone, it's Pastor Dave from St. John in Woodbury, Minnesota. Thanks for checking out today's 5 Minutes of Hope for Tuesday, June 30th. That means today is the last day in the month of June, which means we are now on the back half of the year 2020, which probably sounds pretty good to many of us with everything that we've been going through. So I do hope and pray that your week is off to a good start. I do somewhat apologize. I don't really apologize, but for those of you who maybe were looking for a devotional last week for last Thursday, for the 25th, we didn't put up one on that day, only one last week, and the main reason was last Thursday was my anniversary, and so I spent that day with my family and with my wife, so that's why I didn't put a video together. So hopefully you'll forgive me for that, but this week we should be back to twice a week video devotions, today and Thursday. And so today I'll be doing a focus on compassion and dying to our neighbor, as well as, of course, our joke of the day, which hopefully you'll enjoy. So, like I said, my prayer is that your week is off to a good start. But as always, my biggest prayer for you, especially with everything going on in this really strange and challenging year, is that you are filled with peace, with joy, and with hope, because you know exactly what Jesus has done for you. So first, our joke of the day. And again, we are in election year, so I might be sharing a lot of political jokes, and I apologize in advance if any of them might offend you, but I think you'll like this one. So this is about a young boy who decided to write a letter to God. And he asked God for $100. So again, he wrote this letter, he addressed it to God, and he put it into the mailbox. And so the people at the post office saw that it was addressed to God, and they thought that was cute. So they decided to actually forward it along to the President of the United States. And so the President actually read the letter and was very touched by the boy's letter, and he decided that he would send the boy back $10 because he figured, for a young boy, $10 would seem like a lot of money. And so the mail got to the young boy, and he opened up the letter, and he saw that he got $10, and he was actually really excited about this. And so he decided to write a thank you letter to God, and he says, "Dear God, thank you so much for sending me the money. However, I noticed that for some reason you had to send the money through Washington, D.C., and as usual, those guys took 90% of the money." There you go. So hopefully you enjoyed that nice little government tax joke right there. So as always, maybe at least if you smile or fake laugh, I'll feel good about that. So like I said, for today's devotional thoughts, they deal with compassion. We talked about compassion last Tuesday, and we're going to talk about compassion again today. And this concept of dying to our neighbors. And this actually, again, once again, comes from author and priest Henry Nouwen, who talks about this concept of, again, dying to our neighbors in the sense of giving up our judgmental and critiquing nature. And I want to read to you just a couple of sentences from one of his devotional thoughts. And he says, "To die to our neighbors means to stop judging them, to stop evaluating them, and thus to become free to be compassionate. Compassion can never coexist with judgment, because judgment creates the distance, the distinction that prevents us from really being with the other." And it's interesting, actually, this evening we had our book club here at St. John, and so we discussed one of my favorite books, C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters. And so obviously a very unique book. If you read it, it talks about the different ways that we're tempted in this world, the different ways that the enemy tries to draw us into sin and away from God. And one of those ways that we see a lot is just trying to drive wedges into relationships, either with people we know or people we don't know. And we really started talking a lot about how we feel it's really probably as bad as ever, just division, polarization, really on every topic. That right now, either we see people as being our allies or our enemies. Either they agree with us and they're our friends, or they disagree with us and we have to try to destroy them. And again, what we're reminded of here is that Jesus calls us to be like him, and that means to die to ourselves, to not focus on ourselves, so that we can focus on compassion. Because when we're always trying to critique other people, trying to judge other people, when we're trying to condemn other people, it means that we can't see them for who they are. as children of God, that we can't show them compassion and love and grace and mercy. We can't see their hurts and their pains and their sufferings. And so, again, the only way that we can truly love them as Jesus calls us to love them is if, again, we die to our neighbors. Again, the idea of giving up that judgmental nature, that condemning nature, that nature that wants to vilify others, but instead to love them, to listen to them, and to care for them. So that's my prayer for us on this day, is that we would listen to Nouwen's wisdom. We would die to our neighbors so that we can die to judgment and we can live in compassion and love and service as Jesus does those things to us, and we would then do for those around us.